Chief Henry, nice to have you here to join this program. Recently there are so many mass shootings in the U.S. So I want to know something about how can the people do when they experience such kind of emergency situation.
What I want to tell everyone is this: we live in a society now where, people, forget all the political rhetoric. We do live in a country where people have a right to bear arms, and if I think what's gotten a lot out of hand is, people using guns to such an extent to hurt people. But outside of that, let me tell you this: I don't want people to think for a second that, hey, I need to alter my lifestyle and stay at home and feel not safe in being in a public place. The Houston Police Department, we constantly train. We remind our citizens that we are going to do our best to keep this city safe. And knock on wood, we haven't had a situation here, and we hope it continues that way as far as a mass shooting event, a tragic incident like that. But let me tell you this, ever since they've been keeping stats on that from 2000 to 2017, an 18-year time period, statistics show that there's been about 250 mass shooting incidences. And over time, and you just look at last year, there were 29 active shooter incidences in the United States. So those stats are going to show you that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I say that with caveat to the citizens, not to frighten them, because it is the world we live in. Now I would tell them this though. According to an FBI study, it shows that, according to their study, it shows that the mass shooter that they've studied, they told someone something. Many of those instances, they told someone something. And that's where we have to tell citizens, if you know something, say something. Okay. Otherwise, you hear a lot of people say, I wish I would have. Now, I'll tell you this, if you do know something, let me tell you how to report it. If it's imminently about to happen, then you need to call 911 and tell us. But if it's not imminent to happen and you suspect something, we do have a mental health division, and there is a phone number you can call and report that to us.
What is that number?
That number is 832-394-4200. Again, that number is 832-394-4200. And let me tell you this also about the Houston Police Department. And not only do we train, we're also going to have a facility that's going to open up at the end of this year. Thanks to the generosity of the Houston public, it's going to be called the Tactical Training Center. It's going to be out in the academy. It's going to be just a made-up city blocks where we go in and train in real-life instances. Not only are we going to train, we're going to train with our law enforcement partners here in the region. That's how good this facility is going to be. And also another thing that we do to train citizens is this. We have a person, his name is Stephen Daniel. He goes around and trains a lot of people in the city. You can have him come by your civic group, your church, or even your place of work. It's an hour-and-a-half presentation, and he'll tell you exactly what to do if you unfortunately find yourself in one of these mass shooting situations to survive.
Is he a police officer or just somebody else?
He is a support staff employee of ours, but he is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to active shooter instances. Now, of course, you can get someone like me too. I'll talk to you all day long about active shooter instances, but in a way, he's kind of like, he goes out, he knows the community, so that's why we have him out there, just spreading the word as far as what to do in these situations. I can tell you some things that he does if you want me to elaborate on the main principles that he teaches.
Yes, we would like to know the main principles when we experience those kind of situations.
Okay. Here's what to do, and it comes in this order. You don't do it out of order, but we teach to run, to hide, or to fight. Those are three things in that order. You don't fight first, you don't hide first, you run first to create that distance between you and the threat. Now, if you can't run, then you're going to hide. Now, if you can't run or hide, you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to pretty much fight for your life at that point. Now, there's some aspects about running, just as far as, let's say, going out to eat at a restaurant. just just kind of scope the place out. If a situation like that were to happen, just look and see where the exits are. Just have it in the back of your mind as far as, how to get out of that place and how to get out of there quickly. Leave your things behind. If you happen to leave your purse, if you happen to leave your jacket, those things aren't worth your life. And, you help others escape only if you can. It's kind of like being on an airplane. You know how they do on an airplane? They say, before you help others put that oxygen mask on, you have to put your own on. Kind of the same concept. And they tell you also, don't even try to negotiate with the shooter. Even if the shooter is a child, or even if the shooter is maybe perhaps, a lot of times we hear shooters are men, but if you see a shooter who's a woman, don't even try to negotiate with that person. And when you get to a safe point, that's when you should call 911, not when you're there, but create the distance between yourself and the threat.
When you talk about to call 911, I just heard that people can text 911. So does this work in Houston area? It
does work, but they prefer you call. But I understand if you happen to be at a place where you have to stay quiet,
hide yourself,
and you can't get out, then you're going to have to text. But the reason we prefer you to call 911 is because talking is a lot better than typing. And also, unfortunately, you have something that helps the greater good, but unfortunately, people who are calling in fake calls can do it better on a text than by voice, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
So we prefer you to call in as opposed to texting, but if you have to text, we'll accept those also.
So when people just text 911, so the receiver should be 911, 3-letter.
Correct. And again, it takes longer. That's why we prefer you to talk.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So during the data and El Paso, actually, I think you said there are no mass shooting in Houston area. Maybe you did not mention or forgot that mass shooting in Santa Fe High School.
Correct.
Yeah, that's last year, I think.
Mm-hmm. That is in our greater region, correct?
Yeah,
correct.
greater, yeah.
I mean, that hits home, that's real close to our backyard. I mean, I can technically say it wasn't in the city limits of Houston, but it is in our greater metro area. I mean, that was a huge tragedy. Again, in one of those instances, for that student to do that, I am sure someone knew something. You see a lot of times, people would have posted something on social media, people would have told someone something. In those instances, say something.
Yes, I think maybe this is out of your scope. Maybe we need to get some legislation to prevent something and post in the media, social media.
Yeah, again,
maybe that's another topic.
Yeah, that's another topic, probably with, I guess as far as legislators to discuss, as far as, since, I'm law enforcement, we're concerned with public safety and protecting the public.
How do you think, what will be your opinion about prohibiting the heavy attack guns, something like AR-15, AR-24 something?
Well, again, when we talk about preventing people from having certain type of weapons and things like that, that's from the legislative standpoint, and I really can't comment on that. But I can tell you this, as far as having weapons, we train with our long guns, we train with our guns, and we train in terms of, in the past when we've had instances of mass shootings, officers were trained to wait there until backup arrived or there was more than one of us to go into a scene. But right now, how we're trained is this, we're gonna go in, whether it's just one of us or two of us, we're gonna go in and stop the threat. There's no longer a wait. Our primary concern is getting in, neutralizing, and to prevent that person from inflicting harm or killing anyone else. Take, for example, the mass shooting that happened in Dayton, Ohio. He had 100 rounds on him and he was about to go into a nightclub, but because of the actions of that officer that took the action and incapacitated him, that saved a lot of lives.
That's right.
It wasn't a matter of let me wait until my team gets here to take care of business. He had to take that action there, and that's just an illustration of the urgency of why when officers arrive on the scene, we need to take immediate action.
So is there any policy change on this kind of action the individual officer can take?
That was a change in probably nationwide as far as how law enforcement responded. I can't say for sure, but I can tell you early on, maybe 10 years ago, how we trained was we wait until backup to arrive. And I remember the sequence. I don't want to give too much away here, but I remember we trained in terms of just more than one of us going in. But now we're trained to a point where we go in and neutralize the threat.
Okay. When an individual experiences a home invasion, what should they do?
Well, if you find yourself a victim of a home invasion, some of these things will still apply. If you're able to get out, get out. I know that might be difficult because you might have other loved ones in the house, so this is a very complex situation. But if you do find yourself in one, what we tell them is, even for myself, you have to comply. Whatever directions the bad guys give you, you have to comply. But if you could run. If you have to hide. If you're in a situation where you know for sure where deadly force or serious bodily injury, the bad person is going to inflict that. If you have to fight, then you have to fight.
Yeah, if they have a gun and they just get in, so.
In most instances, or in most cases that I'm aware of as far as home invasions, when they go in, they're after property. And, once they get that property, they go on. I've heard of instances where the homeowner decides to resist. Now when you do that, just for the sake of trying to protect your property, and someone gets hurt, you have to really think, is your property worth someone getting hurt or someone's life being taken away?
If you have a gun at home, so how can you take action?
Well, you hope to have use of that gun before you're put in a situation where, you're put in a situation where dare you have a gun on you, you're limited at that point. You just can't walk over there and pull your gun and push it on that person. You want to find yourself, of course, if someone breaks into your home, I'm not going to tell you shoot or don't shoot. That's up to you in defending yourself and your family.
Okay.
I can tell you one thing on myself as a police officer. We're justified to use deadly force if our lives or someone else's life is in imminent danger. That's the only time when I, as a police officer, can use deadly force. Now, I would say for a citizen, pretty much the same applies. Now, the same standard may not apply because we've had training, but the same standard will apply if you believe that your life or someone else's life is in imminent danger. Then you pretty much, if you have that weapon in your hand, then to me that would be a justified use of deadly force.
Okay.
Yeah.
In public, if somebody attacks the police officer, so what are the officer's rights?
Well, if the same here, if we are in danger, if we feel that our lives are in imminent danger, so say for example, if someone had a knife or if they had a gun on us, then we can use deadly force. Now, if a car was coming at us, then you have to get out of the way. Now, if you're cornered by a car, then at that point, what else can you do? Deadly force is one of those options. Is there an example you want to give me, or I'm just describing scenarios for you?
Yeah, I just heard the news from Hong Kong that some police officer was hurt by the protester or somebody else.
Sure.
So I just think about compare in the U.S. If this situation happened, we don't know whether they have a deadly weapon or not at the moment. So many people around there, they just beat the officer and broken the finger.
Anytime you get into those crowded mass protest scenes.
Yeah.
Now granted, also this is another country, so their rules might be different from ours. But here in the United States, of course, we have First Amendment rights, freedom of expression. But fortunately here in Houston, we normally when a protest is planned, and mind you, they are planned in most cases, we actually consult with the group who wants to protest, and we tell them how to do it. And most protesters know the rules, and they know the parameters, what they can and cannot do it. And actually, some want to get arrested, and we actually tell them how to get arrested. But getting back to your question about what are our rights as far as if we're attacked, again, if officers find themselves under attack, if our lives are endangered, then we're going to pretty much have to do what we need to do to get out of there. If we can't get out of there and our lives are in danger, up to deadly force can be used, if that is the only option. If we have other options, then we use those options first before we go to deadly force.
Okay, thanks for those answers. So what else do you think you want to tell our audience that regarding the public safety, people, what should they do or what should they think about those kind of situations?
Yeah. Well, I want to reassure, especially Houstonians, that the city of Houston, the Houston Police Department, even though we're short of officers, as you always hear in the news, you compare us to all these other cities and their crime rates, might be higher than ours. And I think we do a spectacular job with the caliber employees that we have, and I think that's a testament to the department, to the city. But I just want to tell everyone to reassure them that we're, as far as our crime rates go, we're holding them steady. As far as I know, the active shooter things have been in the news lately. Again, as I said in the beginning, I do not want those instances to say that, hey, I need to alter my life to the point where I'm going to be scared of being out in public. What I say is be a smarter person out in public. The things I've said as far as just noticing or knowing the landscape, knowing your exits, have a plan. Even at some point where I know some people, they actually have plans with or within their family. Say, for example, if something happens, meet over there, or I'll give you the signal. That means, it's time to go and get out of here. I've known people who are that careful. But what I want to tell people also is that Houston is a relatively safe city when you compare us to other cities in the United States. We have great citizens. We have a police department. I believe does a great job in protecting the city. We have protests essentially every day. Those are things you don't know or don't see in the news. What the news likes to put on is things that sensationalize. Maybe someone getting hurt in a scene or something like that. But unfortunately, here in the city, we enjoy a place where people protest peacefully, where they get their point across, or where they have to do that. And again, like I said, we enjoy a good relationship with most protest groups where we help them get their point across, and they know the rules and they follow the rules here. And we're not going to let people break the law and say, for example, loot, steal, hurt, and we're going to hold people accountable for those type of actions.
Okay, thank you for the police officers' jobs here, for the Houstonians actually. We hopefully that we have a better life in Houston area, and we thanks for the Houston Police Department's hard work for everybody.
Yeah, and I also want to add that I want to thank everyone for their support too. We have a city that appreciates their police department. We also have a city administration and leadership that we have support from everybody. We know that, and just hopefully down the road, we can just acquire more resources to do our job better.
Yes, I heard the Houston Police Department always is sort of manpower. Maybe this is my last question.
Sure.
So do you think in certain time or in the future, is there any way to increase the manpower of the HPD?
Currently right now, and we actually accomplished it last fiscal year, 500 officers in 5 years. That's the commitment from the department to the administration that they gave. And we accomplished it, first year in light of all the challenges that we had to go through. So we did, when you look at attrition, we did exceed our manpower by 100 classified officers. Hopefully for the next 4 years, we'll continue, on that trend. But you'll probably hear people talk later on as far as how this city is set up in terms of how finances are obtained in the city, and hopefully we'll get in situations that are more favorable for the city to grow departments like the police department and improve other areas of infrastructure, because we are a growing city. And people realize that, hey, we have good people living here, the city is great, but the police department and other areas of the city administration have to grow too. So hopefully, you'll start hearing that message, and hopefully the city will respond favorably. And again, I'm not a politician, so that's not my area, but what I can say is that from the police department's perspective, we're going to do our best to keep the city safe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, officer. Thank you for to take part in this program.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Thank you.
Yeah.